Welcome to Tales from the Tap. My name is Frankie, and this is my co-host,
Stan the Man.
And we are excited to talk to you about Magic and a lot of Constructed. We're preparing for the Energy team event this weekend, but before we do, how about them rough beats this weekend?
I know, man. I have never seen a rougher time period for a lot of our friends. Frank specifically has had a rough time.
I got obliterated. Not good day.
But not just you. So our RCQ for Boar's Hat was this weekend, and it was a success. I think it was like a great time. I expected like legit like 8 people. Like I was like 3-round limit, single limb. We're out of here.
Yeah.
And I told people, I was like, I think it's going to be a soft field. I don't think very many people are coming. But as we talked about last episode, we've been kind of making friends with more people, expanding our friend group, and like some of our already established groups are kind of like merging right now, which is kind of cool. And I think as a result of that, we ended up with more people here than we expected. George Jabor showed up, which if you guys don't know, he's the guy who made Flex Slot, and he's like, I believe like their team leader / whatever. I don't know how that situation looks, but Flex Slot has like a lot of people on it, and all of them are good people.
And I've been using the tool.
Yeah, the tool is really nice.
It's good. I like it.
I definitely support it. They are also proponents of sideboard guides, and if you're not using one, you're cringe. If you think you're too good for one, you're super cringe.
Well, and if you go to like make a sideboard guide on FlexSlot, you can like print it in different ways for yourself,
right?
So that like you don't have to type it up for me anymore. It just goes, this is what we had. Boop.
Yeah,
like,
and just like every other website now, it has like the export to PDF thing, which it's so good.
Too
a
blessed.
lot of people were like, hey, can you print this out for me? I was like, if you have a PDF link, I will gladly print it out for you. If you're making me type anything, you're SOL. You're writing it out by hand. So FlexSlot, definitely recommend it. Yeah, George Jabor was here. We had Val. She was here, very good player. And she ended up actually winning, so that was very cool. Will Kowalczyk was here. He was the only Nadu player in 18 people. I think Todd was doing the metagame breakdown. The post will be up probably before this episode is out. But
well, and on top of it, one of the things that was really cool was last weekend at Pastimes, there was a guy who was playing a similar like Demir Murktide list, but like less on the Frog Shieldred thing, and he came here. I told him like about the Discord. I had him join the Discord, and he came. Yeah, and I was like, wow. Like I just like talked to one guy, and he was like, yeah, I'm here. And so like we talked again while he was here. It was like, it felt like cool as hey, here's some advice, I can do this for you, yeah, and then like look, he comes through.
Yeah, I agree. It felt a lot it feels like a lot of people are really supportive lately, which I'm very happy about. I mean, I do think that we do kind of have like cool vibes and like a reason to want to support. But even just for Lorcana today, we had a guy who's like, I built 7 meta decks so that if anybody doesn't have a deck, they can come borrow one and play. And we literally had like 16 players for Lorcana, where normally we get like 10. So we just like have a lot of new players from just people supporting each other and helping each other out. And we got the same thing going out with Magic, which is really cool.
And Star Wars.
Yeah, and Star Wars too, which is really cool. Star Wars is popping off. But yeah, just to have a team for the RCQ, considering how bad Nadu is for the format, I think it's a testament to how good Modern is. Like Modern is just an insanely good format besides the Bird. Like I said, Todd's going to have the metagame breakdown, but he was telling me some of the stats for Demir Frogs, including the Grixis Frogs, makes it 5, 1 Nadu, 2 Boros Energy, which both got top 4, and they had to play each other in semifinals.
That deck is good.
Yeah, Boros Energy is good. I think there was only like 1 control player, which was George, and he lost his winning in for Jeskai control.
Oof.
And then Julian top 8'd with Twiddle.
Well, and I lost
Twiddle Storm.
And I lost my winning in.
Yeah, you lost.
I was playing
as
against
well.
if I beat Necro in that last round, and I lost in 3.
Yeah. Oh, that was the guy too that you invited.
Yeah,
Jose. Yeah.
He was not the guy I was talking about.
Oh,
but
really?
yes, I have invited Jose. As well.
He bought a playmat afterwards. After
I was like,
that's awesome, bro.
Yes, and we signed it, and it was like,
yeah, it was so cool.
Yeah, I think that what's so cool about that guy is that he works like late night shift, and so he was like, oh, dude, I need podcasts, and I was like, man, there are people out there who like are just by themselves on night shift, and
well, it's the same for me. Sometimes I get stuck here late on the computer, and I'm like doing like either event scheduling for like all the tournaments for like literally 12 different card games, or inventory management, etc. Or if I'm just like even just playing games with Winter late night, I'm like, man, I really want to watch stuff, and I consume a lot of YouTube as a result. So like, I always end up listening to our own podcast just to like see what we sounded like, was the episode good, etc. Did I agree or disagree with any of my takes post 2 weeks of Magic happening? And I literally always end up getting to listen to it overnight or like on a drive, like I'm going somewhere, I'm going to just listen to this, which is nice. So yeah, I think long form content's pretty cool. I know a lot of people always make fun of me because I'm like, this is going to be a short episode, and then it's like an hour and a half
every time.
And then
that's why we didn't say it.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't say it this time, but then people are like, well, we prefer the longer episodes. I'm like, okay, if you say so.
Bless you, whoever you are.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it was like a good time. RCQ was awesome. I think that I just like floor judged the crap out of it too. I wanted to watch all the decks because I still was like not 100% on what I wanted to play for the team event. Modern is like pretty rough right now if you're not ready for Nadu. But if you sleep on like Frog, if you sleep on Jeskai, any of these decks can just like roll you if you misplay.
Well, and
that's just how Modern is.
And that's one of the things I'm most excited about post Nadu Modern is I love that Frog deck. Like part of me, we talked about my bad beats, and part of my bad beats actually this weekend is my fault and has nothing to do with like the deck or like bad variants. It was, I went into the event, I built a new commander deck, played here with buddies till like 3 a.m, got to bed at 4, up at 9:45, and then I'm playing Modern, which is not a format I've gotten a ton of experience on. Like I've played a 10K on it, played a local here, and like one other RCQ 6 rounds. So like no games, but not a ton of games.
Right, yeah.
And so like I was just playing so sloppy the whole day, which I think caused probably at least 1 round loss and like a game or 2 loss because of that as well. So yeah,
you did talk about that one interaction, which I thought was
surgical.
Not surgical, but there was one moment where you came to me and you were like, I just did this and I knew I messed up, but like the self-reflection I thought was really cool. So Frank had a board stay and he was telling me about this while I was like running the event. Where
I got it.
He had a Shieldred and he had to, before he activates his One Ring, attack with his Frog to try to get a card draw, force the removal spell from the Boros deck, and then activate the One Ring, gain like 4 to 6 life from however many draws, and then win the game effectively. Even though the Shieldred's dead, you gained a lot of life and drew a ton of cards. And then Frank goes, he tells me this, right? He's like, I have to play my Shieldred. Don't activate the One Ring. Don't activate the One Ring. Activate One Ring. And it's like, dang.
Yeah, like it resolved and I just got so excited. And I said to myself beforehand, don't do this. Play into the removal. And then I didn't. I just like autopiloted, tapped it, Galvanic. Yeah. They had exactly enough to like kill Shieldred. And I was like, I lost in the crackback because of it.
I think definitely that's like fatigue because like you definitely autopilot a lot more when you're tired, which is why I tell people I'm like, unironically, you do want to be like kind of fit if you want to play a lot of tournament Magic. Like get your exercise, get your cardio in, get your 8 hours of sleep. If you're tired, you're going to play terribly. Unless you're like taking Adderall or whatever.
I need to do better on my marathon running then because I have not been doing great.
Yeah, Frank runs marathons, so if anybody's fit on the team, it's for sure Frank. Although Jared does play basketball with the Nerd Rage guys, apparently.
Yeah, and I need to now because I know I'm going to clown everyone. I got speed and endurance, brother.
For sure,
I'm ready to go.
Yeah, they were saying like Jack was smoking everybody. I was like, oh, I could come hang then.
Oh, right.
Let's go. Speaking of Jack, oh my God, our friend's having bad beats. I think Jack had like 3 RCQs in a row, and he was like 1-11 or something. And Jared was like, I don't know how Jack is champing it, but he's still playing and not taking a break.
And he's in such good spirits.
Yeah.
Like, good on him. Good on Goblin Ringleader.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen him on YouTube, that guy is like the most positive guy I've ever met.
He's always super nice, super positive. Jack is like a pillar of the community, in my opinion. He definitely just like good people, always happy, and he'll never like flame you or like, oh, nice draws, that kind of person that's like really toxic and salty. He's like the opposite of that. Yeah, that'll be me before Jack for sure. And then Greg Meyer, oh my God, you had that mirror match with Greg Meyer playing Dimir Frog, and like I swear to God, I was watching his draws all day. I'm like, dude, God is not with you. I literally told him, I was like, change religions, whatever you're doing, it's not working. Just so you know. Yeah, you got a deity upset, or you have some bad karma. I don't know if you like ran over a cat on the way here, but
stepped on an Indian burial ground.
You went like subtlety. Go to my turn, attack for 3, and then he went cool. Draw fatal push, go, and then you went all right. Another subtlety, your go, attack, and then he's like cool, draws another fatal push, And I'm just like watching his life total go from like 20 to nothing. And you're like, cool, it gets to attack you again while your hand is like Shieldred plus Counterspell.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then
I'm
he
holding
draws,
up like.
his third draw after that from being Hellbent was Long Goodbye. And he almost cast it. And he's like, wait, it's Mana Valley 3. Damn.
Well, and like the problem is because he had nothing to trigger Revolt. And so that's
Right,
why
yeah,
like
no
he
fetch
couldn't-
line, nothing.
Yeah, he couldn't do anything with the pushes. It was just like,
Yep, the subtleties just beat down playing the old Delver strategy.
yeah, okay.
But yeah, when you slashed that in, I was like, God, good play. He's Hellbent. And then I saw his draws, and I was like, yeah, game's over. And yeah, I think he multi-4 twice, like in the day, which is like crazy. Like multi-4 usually happens to you like once a tournament,
Right.
but like
And that's not a deck
twice,
to do it. Like Tron can mold to 4 and like you feel okay, but if you're playing control and you mold to 4,
Yeah,
you're like
Murktide Demir Frog, you really have to have like the good hand to like get the multi-4 and get there.
Yeah.
Not that it can't do it. Like turn 2 Frog, they don't kill it, and then you're drawing cards. Okay, you fixed it. But like, especially if you're on the draw and not the play. But yeah, it was just rough. But overall, really cool event. Got to see a lot of good gameplay, and those will all be on the Boar Hat YouTube channel as well for those that want to watch them. Really, really good matchups, and you get to watch Will do the combo. Which, if I'm going to watch anybody do the combo, Kowalczyk's definitely the guy I want to see do it.
Yeah.
And he actually had to do it in so many different. Everybody made him play it out. Oh, sorry, apologies. Everybody made him play it out, which was the funniest thing. And I'm like watching him play it out over and over, and it's like non-deterministic. You have to do the loops every time, really, really slow and clunky. And for his first top 8 match, I think it was quarterfinals, his opponent actually had a Rakdos Charm. So when he went like infinite guys, he's like, cool, Rakdos Charm. And there is literally a loop that gets you out of it, but it's super obnoxious and takes forever, which is you're familiar with how they loop Boseijus and they just like flip their deck over and over with endurances, and they're just like Boseiju all your stuff. You can't do anything anymore. The same loop with Odawara, bounce all your own creatures. So he had to basically like, I'm going to do this. And thankfully his opponent was Ryan Reynolds, who's one of our better players in the area. And he was like, yeah, you got it. Like once he showed him like that he could present the loop, since it's not really a loop, in enough times to bounce all his creatures to not die to Rakdos Charm. And then he was like, cool, you got it.
Okay, we said modern is cool. Like my brain is broken after hearing about Odawara bouncing.
Yeah. That's what I told Will.
Wowie.
I watched Will's round 1, game 1, because I wanted to see him play the combo. Because I was like, maybe I will try Nadu. And then I was like, the monster I just drank, all the caffeine is gone. Like, I don't know what happened. Yeah, it was,
I can just imagine, like, you're sitting there and you're like sweating profusely, and you're like,
yeah, it's literally, it's the meme of the guy that's like clicking on the keyboard while he's sweating. Like,
right.
You're playing Nadu on MTGO.
yeah. Try not to time out.
Oh my god, it's just miserable.
That's awesome.
With that being said, we'll jump into like a housekeeping speed run and then move on to our main topics for the episode. Which actually, genuinely, I'm gonna curse us, but like this actually might be the shortest episode ever.
What did I say?
You're
not gonna say.
I didn't say nothing. Shout out to our Patreons, as always. You guys are the best. You guys have been supporting us from the beginning. Like we talked about, we got these new microphones. Our sound is a lot better. We've got a ton of feedback from people. We're like, we can actually hear both voices. It's not as much overlap, blah, blah, blah. And Audacity is a much better platform for recording the sound. I'm having no nightmares about audio settings. I actually slept for once. I didn't have, literally nightmares of like using Streamlabs. And shout out to Todd for helping us with all the editing on the other side and compiling the video to upload for us. This video, because we recorded in 4K, was like 400,000 gigabytes. So now I understand the whole YouTuber uploading videos.
It was
their laptops on fire.
47 gigabytes, and on like the bad internet I have at my great aunt's house. I'm not kidding. It took full 24 hours for me to for me to upload it to.
We're probably gonna upload it
platforms.
from my computer this time.
We will, because until I'm at my new place with my new internet next month, Actually, it will be like we'll have one more episode before I move in, which will be sweet.
I'm so happy you got a place too so fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, shout out to the Patreons. If you want to support the show, that's always the best way you can help us out is keeping the lights on. Any kind of tier you want to support us at, all of it is very helpful. And if you just want to support the show by watching, clicking, liking, subscribing, all the free stuff is always valuable to us as well. And the show will always remain free, and our main platform will always, for the most part, be YouTube and then any other streaming service for podcasts like Spotify, Apple, etc. So,
And if you can't support like for Patreon, like on Patreon's like a monthly subscription, you can also like buy a playmat of ours. Like we have all these playmats that we
have the merch store, playmats, etc.
Yeah,
I'm not wearing one right now, but I usually have like some of our merch, like the Lethal Shove, Experiment Juan with the sombrero.
Yeah, and it's making me like feel like it's maybe time for a refresh. Like maybe with some of what we get. Ideas. Yeah, we should like make some new shirts. I'll reach out to our artist and be like, hey, like let's make these.
Speaking of that, Will Kowalczyk was at our RCQ, like I said, and when I was announcing the prize support, everyone's like, oh, nice, that's really good pricing. And Will's like, actually, you should do the Dice Dojo special. And I'm like, I have to make that shirt where it's like, I went to a 32-player RCQ and all I got was this shirt. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want to make is like a shirt.
Okay, well, one, that's absolutely hilarious. But two, it also reminded me that I went to a store this weekend for an RCQ. I did sealed. I had a really good pool. I just had really bad draws on the day, like bad variants. I ended up going 2-3 with like a really sweet deck. Just like I drew like 11 lands in like 3 or 4 games that day. It was like miserable. But with that being said, they had some of the best prize support I've ever seen. Like I walked out not being, I wasn't supposed to prize. Every single person that went to the RCQ got 4 packs. If you made top 16, you got 6 packs. Yes. And then there was like additional prize payout for the rest. And so I was like, wow, I know we normally have bad beat stories, but like I'm going to go back there again in a heartbeat. I think they have one next month.
Nice.
Or in October.
Yeah, I remember you posting about it in the Discord. You're like, the price support was insane here. That was like actually like actual price support.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah, that's why I laugh so hard when people are like, your price support is so good here. I'm like, I feel like I'm doing like the bare minimum.
Right.
But okay.
You're like putting what you get.
But yeah, I put what I got in the pot, and I'm like, that's like fair to me. And then I see the nightmares and the horror stories, and I see like other stores are doing, and I'm like, dude, like. All right, if that's what keeps your lights on, man, I can respect it, I suppose. But yeah, anyways,
run a better business.
If you guys want to support us, you can always follow us on Twitter. Join our free access Discord, and you can banter with us there. We've been all talking about the decks that we want to prep for, and a lot of standard. I actually just literally brewed a standard deck the minute before we started the podcast, and then posted the photo, and we're like, okay, gonna go record. But yeah, Discord, YouTube, please, if you haven't checked the subscribe button, please give us a comment. Subscribe button.
One of you monsters unsubscribed this past week, so I'm going to find you.
Pain. But yeah, we're trying to get to 500 YouTube subscribers. Maybe we'll do a giveaway or something to help promote it in the future and throw back something for the community. But anyways, Discord, YouTube, X, Twitter, whatever you call it, etc. And yeah, let's just jump into the show. We're going to talk, unless you wanted to add something else?
No, let's jump in.
Let's talk about some modern/standard.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do for the team event.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot to talk about in regards to modern, because I think that modern will be more exciting to talk about when Nadu gets banned next week. So it's actually probably going to be like 3 days after our episode releases.
Well, I think there's still like interesting stuff for modern, because most of the stuff is not going to go anywhere.
Agree.
It's just like format, delete 30%, and then spread these decks out and maybe add 1 or 2 new decks, and we'll be like in a great spot.
Right, and then on top of like what we see in this new meta, I think it'll be exciting because like right after this new meta has started to settle, we'll get Duskmourn.
Yeah, Duskmourn's gonna be so sweet, and Foundations.
Yeah, I think that's good timing for modern. But
really quick, I'm gonna go check if the AC is off before we get interrupted.
Okay,
but somebody asked me this. I think it was Jared, and I thought it was a really awesome question. I'm gonna put it to you.
Okay.
Foundations, 5 years of standard. So these cards don't rotate for a long time. What's like your dream Foundations card? What's a card that you want in standard that we're going to get to keep and you think would be fun for the format? I'll be right back.
A card that we get to keep that I think will be fun for the format. That's really tough. What are some examples of like, I know like Llanowar Elves is like a card that they like peeped or something.
One example, now that I'm back, sorry about that, guys. I just didn't want you guys to get blasted with the
You did that so quick. It was like, you want to see me run into that rock and back?
yeah.
You want to see me do it again?
Anything for you guys. So a good example was Sunfall can kind of sometimes feel like a detriment to the format, even though I think currently it's healthy since we kind of need the exile. Before rotation, the exile felt oppressive. Now I kind of feel like it's necessary with cards like Starfall Invocation and Season of Burrow and all these indestructible cards running around.
Oh, well, and like if Akhlazats couldn't be exiled, it'd be like really oppressive.
Right.
I think
Exactly.
Bat God would be really oppressive.
So with that thought aside, theoretically a good example would be, oh, Sunfall's too good, but Day of Judgment's coming, so we can get rid of Sunfall, and now we have a good field nuke. Because if you look at Standard, there's a ton of sweepers, but there's only two good ones, which is Sunfall and
Starfall Invocation?
Deadly Cover Up.
Oh, yes.
Those are the two ones that I think are good.
Deadly Cover Up,
all the other
sweet.
ones I think are pretty mediocre.
Okay.
But Day of Judgment, that's going to be actually good because we lost the one from New Capenna. I forgot the name of it. You can draw a card if you have a multicolored guy.
Depopulate?
Depopulate. Yeah, we lost Depopulate, so we didn't have a 4-mana field nuke. But we're getting it back in Foundation with Day of Judgment, which is kind of cool.
Day of Judgment for sure is getting reprinted?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, cutesy.
Yeah, so theoretically, let's say Sunfall was too good. You're like, oh, well, we have Day of Judgment now. So we could probably lose Sunfall if they wanted to ban it, theoretically.
Sure.
That's like an example of like something healthy. But now that you think about it, it's like, oh, for 5 years, we're going to have Day of Judgment. So they are thinking creatures are going to be strong, I assume. Because that's, in theory, like 4-mana field nuke is pretty strong. That's always been like the standard.
Right.
And then they kind of pushed it to 5. But I think the creatures got a lot better. So now 4-mana field nuke is like good
Appropriate again.
Appropriate,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Llanowar Elf is another example because there was a point in the time where when M14 rotated, they were like, we're never going to give you guys a 1-mana dork again. That was too much. And they gave it to us with Nykthos and Green Devotion. So we were like really happy. And now they play 8 of them in Pioneer, right? But we're getting it back after we had it from, I think, Dominaria, Llanowar Elf was in. So they decided 1-mana dork is not bad, and it's so not bad that we're going to have it for 5 years. So that's another card that's kind of interesting. So Jerry was like, what are some cards that you think would be cool for 5 years in Standard? Like Thoughtseize, maybe, would be maybe too strong, maybe just on the nose, you know?
Well,
5 years of Thougtseize, though, maybe that's too much. Maybe it should be like a Standard set card.
Yeah, that was actually my initial thought was Thoughtseize. Like, I think that the format would be so different if you had the ability to rip anything out of someone's hand.
Crazy.
Because when you play into these mid-range decks, right, where you have like Glissa and Bat and, you know, Liliana and maybe whatever, Vraska or something, and
Hostile Negotiator or
yeah,
whatever.
and lands.
Mono Black, this card is already so good too.
Well, all of those cards are like good. So like if you rip one out of their hand, the game is not destroyed. But Duress feels so bad because it just doesn't hit enough.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a really tough balance in Standard right now.
And it's
to
funny
be like,
too,
do
'cause,
I play
like-
Duress? Do I not play Duress in the main board? Because if I hit my opponent's hand of a bunch of do nothings
Yeah.
or a bunch of
creatures,
creatures, you're
right.
just like,
Yeah, because like Lizards now is really popular, and they have almost all creatures. But like before the Lizards deck got super popular this past week, 2 weeks ago, if you would have asked me, I'd be like, yeah, you should make more Duress. It's very good. It hits everything in every deck, and now it doesn't. So it's like, okay, now back to the sideboard, maybe. And it's definitely like sideboard at minimum right now. Like this is probably the best Duress has ever been for the format, which is funny. But like Thoughtseize, I think would be crazy. Lizards would play it and just destroy you. Mono Black would play it and probably just destroy you. And then like Golgari or Orzhov would just be like 4 of in the main. We're happy. Build the deck around that. And like so Thoughtseize I think would definitely be too strong for Standard currently. But like that's the kind of card that I'm like looking towards when I'm thinking of like what could be in Foundations. Because like if you would have told me before they said Day of Judgment, I would have been like, 4-mana field nuke might be too much. Let's get some conditional stuff in there.
do you think that Counterspell is too good?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Really?
We just got Long River's pool or whatever.
Yeah.
That's close enough.
Right, but it's unplayable, like currently. And
I think it's only unplayable because 3 Steps Ahead is so good.
Well, I also think that it's unplayable because like lizards and the aggro decks and domain all play cavern. So it's like, and they're creature decks anyway. So it's like the best stuff.
Yeah. The only thing I would say is like one, blue is actually like a pretty weak color in the format right now.
I
It's
agree.
like a support color, but it's a good support color.
Yeah.
I think genuinely, in my opinion, 3 Steps Ahead is the best card in the format. The main issue is that Normalize is so efficient, 3 Steps Ahead is so efficient. There's not really a strong reason to play the Remove Soul if it gives your opponent a card when you already have such good counter magic, and then your removal on top of that is already so good. I think you need like a really, really strong reason to play Long River's Pool into the Cavern format, like you're saying. And at the same time, giving your opponent a card when you don't have to just doesn't sit well with me. And double blue pip. Like, you want to avoid that double blue pip so hard.
Well, that's why I actually thought that counterspell, that's why I posed the question, was because I think that double blue is so restrictive.
Yeah, the problem is I think that actual counterspell is not only good, it's so good that it would like rubber band backwards. Like, okay, now we need to play way more blue because I want the double blue pip and hard counter anything. It's kind of the same problem as Thoughtseize, where like with Duress, you're like, man, that's like almost Thoughtseize, but it's not. You know what I mean?
It's not.
It's not. And
It's
like we
not.
agree, it's like it would be like so powerful, and then on top of that, it'd be legal in Pioneer, and then that format would be ruined.
Oh, true. It being legal in Pioneer would ruin the format.
Agreed.
But
I think
actually,
Long River Pool would be like fine in Pioneer with like an Ocean Thief, you know?
yeah. Well, now that you say all of this, I wasn't thinking about Foundation and its implications for Pioneer.
True. That's
Because
a good point.
for me, I'm like, I don't care about Foundations. I don't think that these cards coming into the format matters. Like, I don't even like the idea of having stuff around for 5 years. That sounds dumb to me. But it bringing new stuff in
Right.
Pioneer is like, oh, please. Like,
Yeah.
The format's just stale. So I think that would be incredibly exciting.
Yeah. I will say personally, I'm excited for Foundations as the core set replacement, whatever they want to call it, the 5-year plan, whatever you want to call it. Vote for me. This is what I'm going to put in Foundations.
This is my
what I mean?
5-year plan. Gross. Nasty.
I'm really hyped for it. I really wonder what they're going to put in it, how they're going to treat the set, because it's like a first time. And for me, I've seen so many, from being like in Magic for like 15 plus years, I've seen so many. This is the first time we're doing this, and like how they handle those situations is always really interesting to me. So personally, I'm very curious for it. I think it's going to be fun. I
just want a reason to play Gary, please.
I think we're gonna get like 2 mana removal spell, something. I think we're gonna get like maybe not like a Heartless Act, but I mean we could. I think we're gonna get like something that replaces Go for the Throat. Oh, that was train that scared me. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you mean
Sorry, guys.
something that's less conditional than Go for the Throat or Shoot the Sheriff?
It doesn't even have to be less conditional. I just think we're gonna get a 2 mana removal spell of some kind.
Oh well, yeah. I mean,
I think it's gonna
that's
be
what
like
Black does.
Yeah, I could even see it being like Victim of Night or something. You know what they used
Double
to play?
Black.
Yeah, something
I
like that.
loved Victim of Night.
Yeah, they used to play that in Modern
Yeah,
way
that
back in
dude,
the day. It's like they're like, you can't kill these 4 guys. Also, these 4 guys are in the next set.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's kind of like what Shoot the Sheriff's already doing.
Yeah. That's funny.
But yeah, oh my god, I wonder how many people like forget what cards are outlaws and like Shoot the Sheriff just becomes like a way better card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
oh
you're playing,
yeah,
like,
because
you're playing
someone's like,
at FNM,
yep,
like, oh,
it's
kill your
dead.
guy. Oh wait, he was an outlaw.
Oh,
Sorry, you didn't call judge.
Me, oh my.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I Foundations, I'm excited to see what happens for Pioneer.
Sure.
I think that's probably where I'm most excited for, but I don't really know. I like wish I could say Lightning Bolt, but that's too much
I think
for
Lightning
standard.
Bolt would be too
It's
much.
way too much for standard because anything.
Well, the problem for me is like a Bolt at one point was almost too good for Modern. Like I remember reading an article like a long time ago that was like why we should ban Bolt. Like literally. Like and it was like a really good article.
argument, yeah.
Yeah, like it was borderline way too good for Modern for quite a while. And then yeah, obviously like modern is like modern, so Bolt is like, you know, a normal
A fine card now. Yeah,
you
a
know?
normal card.
Nothing insane.
But
still good.
Still good. Still played.
And Pioneer having Bolt, I think would be cracked. Like,
Wow,
actually.
Burn would actually be playable.
Yeah, actually
because
playable
Burn is
Burn.
unplayable. Like,
I mean, I think they're gonna get close. Like, there's so many good red cards that they keep putting out. I feel like an aggro red deck is on the cusp of being Pioneer playable.
yeah, I mean they're doing heroic, but that's only because they have like
Slick Shot.
Well, Pioneer is the format of removal,
Mm-hmm.
like where like removal is just good. Whereas like in modern, because things happen so fast, like sometimes single target removal is just bad because
Yeah.
it's like they're doing a thing too quickly.
Right.
But
Can't kill their combo.
yeah, but in in Pioneer, like there's so much removal that they need to play things like God's Willings and Lauren's Escape
Right.
to keep Slickshot alive. All right, now I'm hitting for 10.
Yeah, I do like it a lot. I've been playing a lot of Slick Shot and Pioneer. With that being said, what do you think about Standard right now? What are you kind of like honing in on for the team event?
Yeah, so I've been playing a lot of Magic. I've been grinding a lot on MTGO, and I've played almost every single deck the past few weeks.
Yeah,
like
I have seen you like switching decks nonstop, trying everything in a league.
Yeah, I spent about 2 full weeks on Orzhov, and
Right.
then changing it just slightly to be Abzan.
Right.
And-
Yeah, because after Amazon won the challenge, you guys were trying that out.
Yeah, and then back to Orzhov, and then I don't know. My thoughts are specifically for the energy, right? I know that we're the Midwest, and people are probably like I think the majority of the field will be Golgari, Orzhov, and Domain.
White domain, yeah.
Domain. I think that there are always people that will be playing Convoke. There will always be people that are playing Gruul Slickshot. Like, that's a given.
Yeah.
We know we're going to see them there. Totally fine. But I think that the majority of the format, like I'd say probably 60%, is going to be those 3 decks.
Yeah, especially because it's a team event, so you're really not incentivized in a team event to like play a random deck. Like I know for like normal events, sometimes people will be like, "Oh, I just wanted to try this deck out," or
Yeah.
it's only yourself that loses." So
Right.
like when you register like Azorius Artifacts or Dimir, whatever mid range, and it's like a fringe deck, you're not really like punishing your teammates. Where like your teammates probably are like, "Hey man, it would be really nice if you played, you know, this deck."
Something not
You know?
bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so I can definitely see that where people that actually care want to like play something good for their teammates, and teammates that are not, you know, cognizant of that will play like Domain Infect.
Yeah. So I today was playing Blue-White Control. And like Blue-White Control, we very differ on like
Yeah.
what Blue-White Control is right now.
Well, I do like the I kind of changed my mind on Caretaker's talent. I will say this though. I think that the decks like a week or 2 ago were all just playing like this crazy inbred token plan, and then they started cutting all these bad cards and adding more removal and realizing that the control package was just good, and you just supplement it with the tokens.
Right.
Because like I kept seeing these like token decks, and I'm like, because like before you're like Blue-White doesn't have Virtue. I was like, it did, and there was like so many like not control cards in it, and I was like, this is mid range. This is like tokens, which don't get me wrong, 3 steps ahead, best card in the format, and it really loves tokens. But I was leaning more towards Boros, and then they started cutting cards out too, and they ended up removing Contorius and Geological Appraiser, and really leaning hard on the tokens as well. And Boros like ended up being way more controlly because they had like Torch the Tower, Lightning Helix, Get Lost,
Yeah.
temporary lockdowns as a 3 of, and so I was like, dang, Boros is like a more of a real control deck than Azorius.
Right.
But they just weren't playing their manland, which I was unhappy with. But
Oh, the Restless Bovak.
yeah, to be
Big
fair
book.
though, they needed it before rotation. Now we have Fountain Port, which is just cracked. Like we agree
Fountain
that.
Port is the truth.
Yeah, card
I
is
love
nuts.
that card. It just does everything.
Yeah, it's so good. And the Boros deck, unlike the Azorius deck, plays 4. They're like 4 Sunken Citadels, 4 Fountain Ports. They lean into it hard. So like Boros was like more of the real control deck, and Azorius just looked to me like a mid range deck, which is funny. So I was like not super happy with it, but after like I talked about how I just brewed a standard deck. The deck I brewed was Azorius splashing red just for Urbrass Forge. And I just think that Urbrass Forge is such an insane card right now.
It's
With Caretaker Talent, like what a combo, you know?
It's so good. Well, and what I think was so appealing to me about the Boros deck when I saw it was watching someone. I think someone else did this, and I was like, oh, I got to try that. Where they have Caretaker's Talent, they have Urbrask's Forge, and they have Fountain Port.
Yeah.
So like at end step, they're just like sacking the token before the sacrifice trigger to draw a card.
That's
and
why
I'm
the 4 Sunken Citadels, which I was like, dang, dude.
That is hot magic.
Yeah, and they don't even play Demo Field in it. They're just like 4 ports, 4 Sunken Citadels, which I thought was cool. One of the things I like about it too is it just like kind of feels like it has everything. Like they temp Lockdown and they play Carrot Cake. Like they literally don't care. Like as long as you don't have stuff, I'm gonna rebuild, and it does. It rebuilds super hard. I remember I was actually in the Flex Slot Discord, and they had like their standard channel, and I guess it's my understanding that Nerd Rage doesn't play as much standard as we do over here, but we play a lot of it.
We play a lot of standard,
And
so we're ready for this weekend.
This guy
baby.
was like, "Hey, is Boros like good?" I've been hearing other people say it's bad, and I'm like, "Who told you it was bad? Boros is like insane." And then after that, George Jabor posts like a mono white deck, which like mono white tokens actually has more representation than Boros and Azorius right now, because white is just so insane. I personally think white's the strongest card in the color in the format right now, even though I think 3 Steps is the best card. But the mono white deck, they're playing 4 Sanguine Evangelists, and then it's just like the white token plan with the caretakers and everything.
I saw the Sanguine Evangelist in the list, and I was like, that seems cute.
Yeah, it's so cool. And that list is crushing right now too. So like if you're gonna play standard, whatever you settle on, white is gonna be everywhere.
Yeah.
Like white is in domain, white is in the tokens decks, white is in like pretty much everything. And if they're not doing that, they're playing green.
Yeah. So my thought going into this weekend was I just want to be able to like beat up on the mid-range decks, and that's why I like the Caretaker's Talents lists, is because they just, if you can stop them from what they're doing, they cannot outvalue you. You just have the ability to be like, once a Caretaker's Talent sticks, you're like, cool, Fountain Port, make a thing, draw a card. On your turn, on my turn, I play something, it makes a token, I draw a card, and just like pound through your deck. And I think that can be good into domain as well, because they only have they're low density of threats. It's like they get a herd migration, they get all the dudes. If you wipe that, you're good. Or like it's an Atraxa or an Archangel. So like you spot remove a 1, you counter another, you board wipe once, cool. Now I have Caretaker's Talent. Like I had some games where like I made a couple 1/1s with 2 Caretaker's Talents, upgraded them both fully, and was like, cool, I've got 5/5s.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll pay 1 life, make a 5/5 fish.
He's
in the gym. He's working on himself.
Yeah.
Like
I had some games where like you block with Anchorage and they're like, kill your Anchorage, and I'm like, I don't like that. So like you'll 3 steps ahead to either draw or counter, and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna make another copy of my Anchorage, and then you'll have like token Anchorages, and then once you have those and you can start making copies with the Caretaker's Talents, you just start like ramping yourself, and you're making Restless Anchorages. It's so crazy. I've had so many grindy games like that.
That is crazy. I had one that was similar online. I don't know if you saw, but where like I made a token copy of Besa.
Yeah.
And then due to state-based actions, like you have to sacrifice the token, like one of them, before the ability resolves.
Right.
So I then was able to I had to sacrifice a Beza. I then had less creatures than my opponent, so I got to like remake more fish tokens and gain life. And it was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, and if you have a token of Beza, that's the kind of card that you're like, at any point I can just pay 1 mana and like trigger this ability. You're just happy. Oh, I attack with it. Trigger. Now he's untapped. You know what I mean? It's almost like you have a Mazavith on your Beza. So like, yeah, Caretaker's Talent definitely does a lot of cool stuff. It was so funny. I was talking about how, so one of the reasons why I like Urbrass Forge so much in the Azorius deck is how it interacts with 3 steps ahead. When Urbrass Forge is like on 8 or 9 counters, which these games can go pretty long. 3 steps just makes another one of the guys, and they're huge. It comes in with that much base power, It's not like counters.
Right, because Urbrass Forge specific, and I knew that because I remember reading it, or when I tried to do a 3 steps ahead.
Yeah.
That Urbrass Forge specifically says at the sacrifice that token.
Yeah.
Like, so if Urbrass Forge didn't create the token, it won't get sacrificed.
No. Sorry, I'm talking about specifically that because the counters are in the forge, your guy comes in with that much power, and 3 steps making a copy also has that much power. So you can like surprise one-shot people.
Oh.
Where you're like, attack you for, I would have normally attacked you for 7, now it's 14.
Got it. I was just saying that, like, if you copy,
Yeah, you get
if
to
you
keep the
copy,
guy.
you can keep the guy.
Yeah,
and that's
which
like,
is also really
which
good.
is awesome because you only have to sacrifice the one that you created with Urbrask Forge on that turn.
Right.
So it's like that is so good.
Yeah, exactly. And they interact so well with each other. I'm almost like, man, I wonder why nobody's done like a Is It Artifacts version of this, or Jeskai Artifacts with like the Simulacrum style, you know what I mean? Like, I know I've said 3-color is rough, but some of these shells where the cards are like single pip, like Urbrask Forge, Caretaker's Talent, they're all single pip. I feel like you could do it with something like that, you know what I mean? When you're not playing a ton of double pips, because Standard can't support your deck having 3-color double pip cards. It just can't. But if you have single pippers like Urbrask Forge, Caretaker's Talent, etc., even like 3 steps ahead can kind of get away with it because of the drawing and the discarding. It's not as difficult, so I'm surprised more people aren't testing in that manner yet, especially with like artifacts when you can play the spring loaded or whatever it's called. Not spring loaded. There's clay fire bricks. Clay fire bricks. Search for a plains.
Yeah.
Most of your decks that are doing these kind of 3-color token strategies or artifacts are main color white. So
Yeah.
the plains is like the best basic to search for. There's just so many different strats you can go for. I'm mostly surprised that there isn't more brewing going on. Genuinely.
Yeah.
But I think people are just trying to settle on stuff for tournaments probably.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do too. I feel like I either am going to lean towards like keeping this control deck and like tuning it and playing with it.
Yeah.
Or we do like what I would describe as the Jarrett Rocha special where you play a deck that you think is like the best and you tech for the mirror in the main board.
Oh, sure.
And then just like win because you crush the mirror every time and a lot of people are going to be playing it. So
Yeah.
that's why part of me has been like, do I just play domain
I see.
and then take a couple flex slots to like make it really good for the mirror match and then just like steamroll the event? Like
That makes sense. Now I understand why you were so high on domain, because if you think domain's the best and you're going to see like roughly 4 decks the most, then you just have to make sure you win the mirror match. I think that genuinely though, like it's just a rough time to lock in a standard deck. I think that
I agree.
no matter what
Yes,
you pick,
I agree.
you're not going to ever have all favorable matchups. You really have to be like on your game. Maybe even like get lucky and your teammate to carry you for a round if you get a bad matchup. But yeah, standard is just, I think, really honestly well balanced. Like there's no best deck.
Yeah.
Realistically,
Yep.
you can play any of the top 5 decks and even some of the tier 2 decks, and you're pretty happy. I mean,
yeah,
I've been
Robert blasted me tonight on blue-white like aggro.
Yeah,
with
play
the,
aggro
with the Zoeticliffs.
I almost lost to you were watching me play. I almost lost to Selesnya Rabbits. Like hop to it.
Yeah,
I was like,
yep.
oh my god.
Well, when you play Phineas and you go into hop to it into like all my dudes are 2/2s now. It's
Right.
like, huh.
Yeah.
Or you play the right because you go 1-drop into Phineas into that, and the 1-drop says whenever you play like whatever cards, but it includes
Yeah,
rabbits, you get a 1/1 counter.
Trampler.
And that's what Jace wanted to do. He was like, I'm gonna play this frog. I play hop to it on 3. It gets 4 counters. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, and it's a trampler. It's a 1-drop.
Yeah, it's like
it's
that card.
It's honestly a good deck.
That card is awesome.
If you have a friend that wants to play a budget deck, that deck is hella cheap, very strong,
So cheap.
Aggro is very easy for new players to play. Typically, like that kind of aggro, like aggro, low floor, high ceiling. Just play it. You know, get your friends into the format. It's a good alternative to Slick Shot too, because I feel like some new players are like, I don't want to play red, even though Slick Shot is like awesome.
And crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. Girl Slick Shot's going to be everywhere. I think that's a deck I would be very afraid of when registering, because like what Frank said, I'm like, oh yeah, for sure Orzhov, for sure Golgari. Be prepared for the combo, even though it's probably not going to get played that much. enough of it will get played that you want to be ready for it. Domain X, Y, and Z, some amount of aggro, but a slick shot just kind of like that card is just so freaking broken. Honestly, if you're not ready for aggro, you're just gonna get smoked. If you play any kind of control / late game deck, like Domain and Blue White are really going to struggle with slick shots the most. Every other deck kind of has like answers for it between Cut Down and Lightning Helix, etc.
I just wanted to reanimate Liliana's. That's the only thing that's making me have PTSD right now. Is like when you can reanimate a Liliana with Zoraline, you're like, I'm
or Season of Burrow.
I'm cooking.
Yeah, I know. I think Orzhov is a good deck. I wish it was like slightly different play style. I love Zoraline, but the deck just feels like kind of similar to what we were brewing last year when we were super hyped about Murders of Karlov Manor and we thought Black White was going to be good. And obviously this Orzhov deck is
this one's better,
way better.
But
It's just it just feels like for me like not quite there in terms of like where I'm at.
And the reason why I feel that way is because like this is why I had problems with Boros, is the same reasons why I have problems with Orzhov, is because there isn't like draw. Like if you just draw poorly, you just lose.
Yeah.
And into the opposing other mid-range deck, which is Golgari, which has like a combo that you can kind of just walk into sometimes.
Mazo Drenite is also super insane.
Well,
Caustic Bronco.
that's the problem. It's like there is no good removal for Mossword Drenite. And so that deck can just go,
You
cool.
have to lay down arms.
I'll block into it. I'll sacrifice it. I will, like, to your Liliana. It doesn't matter because I'm just going to redraw and keep playing. And eventually I'm going to have more cards than you, and then I'm going to win.
Yeah.
And
Mosswood is a card that makes Innkeeper's Talent very good. Like, I like Innkeeper's as a card. I do not like Vraska. I think that combo is, like, barely playable in my opinion. But when you just have regular Innkeepers, your Mosswood Trinites are insane.
Right,
Like,
because you don't care if they die, and then they're also trampling.
Yes.
So they're like, oh, when it became a 4/3 trample today, I was like, brother, ooh.
yeah. How much you pay for that?
Yeah, you did what?
Also, like a kind of like a pseudo deduce. Like I saw earlier on camera against you, Julian was like, tap 4 mana, play my Mosswood, draw a card, and I was like, oh, okay, dude. Like the shortcutting was cute, but the fact that that's what 4 mana does is, it's like, here's my Trampler that doesn't die, and I'm drawing a card.
It was painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we drew because, oh man, if we had more time, my blue white was getting there.
Yeah, so like I think Blue White is definitely a good deck. Obviously that's one of the decks you were testing. The Jeskai version with the Urbrest Force that I just brewed, I think honestly it has like legs, but it's hard. There's like no time to test.
Well, and it's hard on the mana base because there's so much double of everything. There's double white on everything.
Well, there's only one red pip, so the way I brewed it, it's only Elegant Parlor, 1 Mountains, and Sunken Citadels, and then the rest of the deck is just your normal Azorius, whatever. So like specifically for Azorius, I think you can easily slot in Urbrest Forge, but is that good enough to beat Slick Shot? Is that good enough to beat the Azorius Artifacts deck with Simulacrum? Is that good enough to beat, you know what I mean? Like maybe only having 2 lockdowns instead of 3 like Boros does isn't good enough to beat Phineas aggro, you know what I mean?
Well, and that's the other thing that I felt like I needed to figure out on the list that I played was I do believe that you're right. I do think that like lockdown is too, like there are some matchups where the card is just absolutely dead, but that's not a lot of matchups. It's just like the mid-range decks, you don't care about lockdown. Every other deck, you really care about lockdown.
It's funny, I like lockdown a lot for the aggro decks, but I also like it for Golgari just because it's like your free ticket to not die to the combo.
And it's a good way to get rid of Dread Knight.
Yes,
it's just
exactly.
I guess it's just bad into Orzhov.
Right.
Because
and one of the things I like about it so much with Azorius is the 3 steps ahead. Like 3 steps ahead does what Faithless Looting used to do for you in Modern, where you're like, I can play whatever I want in the main board because whenever it sucks, I'm just gonna throw it away. And that is so nice, especially because like this format has so much discard where like when you do have the ability to go, okay, well, at least I know this card is like nothing, so
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm throwing it away to Liliana.
Yeah.
Just make sure you have a Get Lost.
Right.
And then that with that being said, mono black. There's gonna be. I'm assuming there's gonna be people playing mono black. They're like, oh, my team needed a standard player. We didn't know what to play. This was the easiest thing to put together that I felt like I could not fumble on. You know, because there's something to be said for people that are like not adept in the format. They might just play something they consider not difficult to play.
Man.
Mono black, it's hard to mess up your opponent discarding cards.
Yeah, man.
There's just so much for us to talk about. And honestly, the next couple days are going to be rough before we lock in our lists.
Right, because it's probably going to be like our time to test is like the next 2 days. And then it's got to be like, we are...
Thursday Night Modern, we're going to be like, after Star Wars, and it's like, locked it in, send it.
right. Where it's going to be like, it's just jamming games until
Right.
the event. And so like we have to lock in by like Wednesday so that I have enough time to be like, okay, I played 20 games of this deck.
Yeah.
Let's go. But
so for me,
part of me wants to play, like, now that you just mentioned mono black, I kind of want to play like Orzhov, but like make it mono black so you can like use Zora Lane to like reanimate the
like the Hopeless Nightmares and
yes
stuff? Yeah,
like
yeah.
that sounds hot to me, being like,
I
cool,
played against decks that are
discard
just
again.
black, white, that, and they'll play like the Outlaws fairy that bounces things.
Oh,
And they're like play and bounce their
Nurturing
discard.
Pixie?
Nurturing Pixie, yep.
Yeah.
And they'll do that.
because
It's gross.
I've seen Nurturing Pixie played in Feyblade, but I think Feyblade is like a pipe dream. I don't think the deck's like real. I think it's like tier 2 at best.
Yeah.
But
This is the closest thing to what you're describing with the Zora Lane.
right, but you just play black, right? You make it black and you play the Hopeless Nightmares and you play the new Bandit's Talent, and then
Right.
you play
Maybe
like
the Lizard guy.
yeah, then you go Liliana and Kevrek, and then
Hostile Negotiator.
yeah, and then it's like cool. Now they're really like pressed because you've ripped their hand apart and you are still like holding up.
Yeah, the
gas.
nice thing about that is those decks really combo well with Akhlazotz, and he kind of just like slots right in.
I love Akhlazotz.
Akhlazotz is awesome.
Yeah,
Akhlazotz is like the mid-range wet dream. Like literally, it's like
It is.
If you had Akhlazotz
He
in 2012, 2014, and nobody else had that, you would be the king.
yeah, I love Akhlazotz. That's why I love Beza. Like everyone has their pet cards. Like Julian's pet card is Outrageous Robbery. Beza is my pet card. I want to play that card in every single deck.
Yeah. Oh, Beza's so nice too. I'm glad they printed Beza. Beza's a really cool card. That's the kind of card that's like, thank you for putting paragraphs on everything. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind.
Yeah,
as
yeah,
long as the cards
usually-
are this cool.
Right, when they're this cool. When you're playing like crap like Wishing Well and you're like, wait a minute, this does what? I don't want to play this.
One drop, 14 abilities.
Yeah, like
I can't wait for them to make it like a Wubber one drop, and it's like one of 5 different abilities of each different color. It's like, oh yeah, we needed a 1-mana Omnath. That's actually exactly what
It's
we
one
needed.
mana Kenrith.
Yeah, you're right. 1 minute, Kenrith. Yeah. So obviously, like, we're still not locked in for Frank, but him and I both play standard. We're getting there.
We're getting close.
We're gonna have something, and you'll hear about it on the next episode whether we top 8 it or not.
We will. I feel it. This is
I'm
the
kinda
team.
feeling it.
This
I
is
think-
the team.
I think Jared actually kind of just like crushes his seat, and we just have to not fumble in the same round.
Right. Yes. Agree.
Because I generally think Jared's going to have like a field day in Legacy. He's just so good at the format. Jared is a phenomenal player, and it's actually fun watching good Legacy players play that format because it makes the format look like the best format.
Yeah.
When you're seeing like the top dogs play that,
and he's
because
very-
it really is a fun format.
Yeah, and I feel like the last like few times I played Legacy, it's like us finding a Legacy seat rather than like Jared is a Legacy player.
Right,
Like
yeah, that's true.
that is his format. So it's not like, you and I both play enough of Standard and Modern to where like we feel like it's kind of interchangeable, but like that is what he does. That is his
Yeah.
thing. So it's like
Yeah, and I want to take it more serious as a result because last time when you ended up not being able to come for the last team event because it was Mother's Day, we kind of just like had like a random third party that we just were like, oh, well, this guy's actually going, let's take him. And obviously he wasn't to the level, so we were winning the rounds that Jared and I were winning, you know what I mean? And that was it. So if either of us ever lost, it was over. And I felt bad because I didn't take, even though I was playing well, I wasn't taking the event as serious. And Jared wasn't really taking it as serious either. But then when it was over, he's like, man, I kind of wish we had tried harder because you and I were cooking. And if we had a real third teammate, no offense to our boy, we probably would have top 8'd that tournament. We were crushing. Like, it had Jack been on our team when he was slick shotting people in Pioneer, we would have like coasted.
Yeah.
So I felt really bad. And I was like, man, this is Jared's last event before he goes to grad school. I'm going to put in the effort. So I've been really testing Modern and like in my free time looking at all the decks, seeing what I want to play, and I think I finally locked it in, which is so funny because I ended where I started, where I was going to play Tron, and then I was like, no, Tron is not good enough. And then, which is funny because Tron is like, this version of Tron is like the strongest it's ever been, ever.
Well, and that, I'm not, yes. And that's so funny to me why you weren't on Tron, only because when I've played against it, like the time that I did, I was like, I'm sorry, you're doing what?
Yeah.
And this is turn what?
Yeah,
like
wait, what? Yeah. It's because like the decks kept changing, and like a couple months ago when I was looking at it, I didn't like where it was at. Like when Modern Horizons 3 first came out, I wasn't feeling it. It wasn't winning that much. It wasn't doing everything I thought it would do, and it was losing to Nadu, which I thought should have been like a not terrible matchup, even with the combo. And so I was like, man, this deck doesn't seem as good, even though it's strong. Like I thought Tron was the strongest it could ever be after the One Ring came out. And then Modern Horizons 3 happened. And I was like, oh, wow. Like this is Tron.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, wow. Like this is like, dude, you couldn't have convinced me this is what Tron would look like 7 years ago. You know what I mean? When I'm playing like Golgari Tron or Celestia Tron, and we're playing like Blessed Alliance and Fatal Push and stuff like that.
Lucky.
I mean, those decks were cool at the time.
Yeah.
But like, if we knew this is what Tron would be like, I wouldn't have believed you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of like kept trying other decks like you would standard. Like, okay, I tried Living End, I tried Frog, I tried Jeskai Control. I kind of like Boros Energy. I just didn't want to play it just because I don't feel as comfortable in Modern on the aggro plans as much as I like the tempo plans or like the late game plans like Tron. Which is why I was thinking about Frog really hard, and I think looking at it, so I played a league last night and I played against Tron twice, and I was like, man, the grass is greener. You know what I mean? I'm looking at that guy doing everything I used to do. It's like the toy you left behind. Somebody else picks it up. And you're like, wait a minute. I love that.
I love him.
Give it back.
That's my Wolverine.
So I'm going to definitely play some more leagues with Tron this week. I settled on a 75 that I kind of liked. Like literally after I played that league, I was like, what am I doing? So I started looking at Tron, putting a list together. And once I was finished, it was like 4 or 5 in the morning. I was like, Sal, do you have this? Please tell me you have all these cards. Because I don't have any of the new stuff. But all the old stuff I obviously have, so it should be easy to put it together.
I'm sorry.
I think that's more or less where I'm locked in.
I just have to let you know that you've like really triggered a memory for me when you said like that's my like the old toy. I used to have this Wolverine that you would like push a button and he'd talk to you. And he'd be like, "Back off, bub. I smell trouble." And like I could see it now. And
I
I'd
love
be like,
X-Men.
"Where's
That
my
sounds
Wolverine
awesome.
toy at?" You know, like OG looking X-Men, like the original costume.
Did you ever play X-Men Legends?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's where you took me back when you said that. I'm like, oh, I used to love playing that game for like hours.
Yeah.
Just like reading, like I wouldn't even be playing. I'd be like in the X Mansion reading all the lore of all the characters.
Yeah.
Like this, that's kind of like what really got me into comics. I'm like, oh, he did what? That guy did what? Okay, I gotta read this guy. And I'm like such a Gambit simp. So I don't know if you've been seeing all the memes with Gambit.
Yeah.
Like I'm about to make a name for myself. Winter sent me the funniest meme about that. Have you seen that? I forgot what show it is. I think it's like Euphoria, but it's like Sydney Sweeney in the mirror, like crying, but like trying to like get herself all ready.
Yeah,
like the don't cry look, and it's like your husband trying to practice Gambit impression before you go on a double date. It's just like her in the mirror, and it's like some guy in the background's like, I'm gonna make a name for myself. Oh my god, she showed me that. I was crying of laughter. What a weird tangent.
Yeah, it was my fault.
Sorry to segue. I think
and that's usually you.
That's my bad. I think we've said pretty much everything we have to say, though. Anything else we add would be like fluff or like general conversation stuff. Like if people have questions or if you guys have thoughts or disagreements, like let us know in the comments. Like I want to know what you guys' thoughts are, because genuinely I think Standard is really open right now.
Yeah.
And it's one, under tested, and two, we don't have a long time to test it. It's a month until Duskmorn, like a month and a half.
Right. And yes, it's a month until Duskmorn, and the big tournament is literally this weekend. Like the episode's going to be released like while we're up there, pretty much, or like the day before. So it's just like, hey, we've played a lot of decks. This is what we feel like. What do we think is going to be generally best into the field? And I feel like kind of with what your point is, if Jared really is cooking and Eldrazi Tron is good into pretty much like Nadu is still tough, but is good against almost everything else.
Yeah, I feel comfortable against pretty much the whole field because there's like no burn deck right now.
No.
Like Burn's unplayable. If I get slick shotted, I get slick shotted. It happens. Living End seems fine. Both of the energy decks seem fine, especially the Jeskai version. Boros is probably the scariest deck because of how aggro they can be. If I have a slow start,
you crush control.
I think
Go,
control is a free
you go
win.
too fast, and you have better. Like
well, you actually have early drops now too. Like Thought-Knot Seer is scary for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sowing Microspawn is like the devil.
Right, and on top of it, like you get like your cards are so much better late than their cards are.
Yeah, and you
so
get to
like
play Cavern Souls for free, which is funny because Cavern Souls was like a 2014 Tron tech.
Well,
and now it's a main board card again.
Well, and so many of the Eldrazi's, like when you kick them, have like on cast this happens. So like even if they counter it, you still get value, and that's what I felt like when I played into it with Blue Black Frog. It was like, oh, I counter this, or like, cool, I put subtlety on top.
Yeah,
or I'm gonna subtlety your Emrakul, but you're still gonna take my turn. Like,
yeah, subtlety just can't beat Emrakul. I had that actually happen to me last night in the league. I grinded this guy out in the game 1, which is like the one you can't win.
Yeah,
I literally had him dead on board, and he goes Emrakul, and I was like, sure, man.
Yeah.
Subtlety.
Okay.
Play your extra turn twice.
Yeah, play your extra turn.
I was actually so mad I lost that game because I grinded him out in the game 1, which is like the one without the consign to memories, which is like how you beat them, you know?
Yeah.
I definitely am still scared of Break the Ice, but it's not as bad as it was before, man. 4 mana is all you need to play Tron now, which is so nice between Thought-Knot Seer, Karn the Great Creator, and Sowing Microspawn.
Yeah.
You just have options now, which is like not a thing Tron had in the past. It's kind of beautiful.
Yeah. So, so I think that if I just pick a deck that's solid and I just play well, that like if one of us can get there and Jared is really cooking, that like we're gonna have a good day.
Oh, for sure. And I honestly see both of us winning, and Jared, it's like match is still going or whatever. If he's playing like some kind of grindy Euro versus Death and Taxes.
Have you played Standard? I'll be the last one.
I have played Standard.
I'll be the last one.
You haven't seen Euro Endurance looping my deck, and then the Death and Taxes player is like not dying for some reason.
It's like Austin Powers when it's like, why won't you die?
That's so funny. Anyways, I think that's everything. You want to do some shout outs?
Yeah, so shout out to first Boris Hat Gaming. If you haven't, you can. They have a lot of stuff in stock. I've been doing pack wars all the time of collector boosters.
Oh my gosh.
Get your collector. Yeah, I've been losing
Frank
a lot.
lost back-to-back pack wars where his opponent got a raised foil.
Yeah, so Stan's just really on this time of me being single, sucking my money, and I need help. You got to give because it's...
Yeah, if you guys want us to ship anything to you and you're not in the area, we'll definitely ship. Order singles from our website. Check out our sealed product. If you're looking for something specific and we don't have it in stock, but you think we could get it, I'll go out of my way to get it for you, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as this episode's done, I'm grabbing those Archangels so I can be prepared for Domain just in case I play it.
True.
So grab stuff from them. Also, shout out to Todd for doing all the editing and all the visuals for our video. He does it for free. We're so appreciative. Thank you so much for the work that you do for the podcast. We really appreciate it.
And he does all the rendering too. So like the video and the audio are separate now, and they get put together through magic. And I don't know how that works.
Well, and on top of it, he told me this past week, he's like, yeah, because of like the way that this new recording happens and it's separate from the video, like it will get out of sync with itself. And so I had to do this thing where I stretched the video an extra 30 seconds so it lined up the whole time. And I was like, that sounds like wizardry. So thank you.
You did a thing. I understand.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You had to do a thing that I don't get. Also, shout out to Sal MTG Chicago for doing this equipment here and our thumbnails. So please go check out his channel.
The last one he did was so good.
It was so good. I was like,
also, Sal's letting me borrow his cards for the deck I need.
Yeah, so that too. Go check out his channel. You could see it's probably the best in Chicago for like live Magic gameplay, and you could see
All of our local
different types
gameplay gets posted there, but he posts gameplay from everywhere.
Yeah, and it's a lot of different formats, so you can kind of really get a feel for like what people are playing and like how the interactions are happening in person. It's good content.
His channel's been popping off too. Oh my god, I don't know if you saw it, but Mike Pellini is the CEO of hand shuffling.
The CEO of hand shuffling.
The comments now, whenever it's Mike, they know it's him now.
Yeah, and
they're like, oh, here comes the CEO.
They slam him. I bet he has like some hate followers that are like specifically watching
like
the videos.
There's like a Reddit page just for him, I'm sure.
And he's so funny about it too. Every time he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm on meds." Like every time in the comments.
Yeah, the comments. I'm sorry, man. I take drugs. I have my butthole's an iPhone. Okay, Jesus. What's it called? We had one of our Pokemon videos go crazy on the Borhat YouTube channel.
Really?
Like 2,000 views or something.
Whoa.
For like back-to-back Pokemon videos, and it was because my buddy Juan was playing this card incorrectly and like basically getting more value out of the card than he was supposed to. And they were like, "This guy's cheating, like cheater." And like all the comments were like, "Cheat! This guy's a cheat. What a cheat!" And then he's like in the comments like, "Yeah, you're right. My bad. I played that card wrong."
Sorry, that sign won't stop me because I can't read.
Yeah, but the Pokemon players are so good with the memes. They were all just like kind of like memeing back the comment people, and it just turned into like a chain. I was like, "That's so hilarious."
Man, we need that on our videos. Some of you need to be funny, okay?
Yeah,
get in there.
Just tell me what you had for dinner, man. Let me know.
Yeah.
I'll let you know what I had for dinner. Just leave us any comment. It's all good.
Help us out. Next shout out is to Nancy Steroids for doing our intro and outro music. You can go ahead and check out his stuff on Spotify. He's got a lot of music that he's cooking. He actually was just on some podcast that he told me about.
I have to check that out.
Yeah, so please go ahead and check him out. And what did I miss?
Nancy Steroid. Oh, shout out to our patrons as always for supporting. We really appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
The best. Keeping the lights on.
I love you.
And the viewers that are just with us for the ride.
Appreciate it. Well, that's it. Tune in next time for us to talk about Modern Post, the Nadu ban. Please, Wizards, hear
That's true. After the tournament, there's a ban.
Please, Wizards, hear our prayers. We'll probably have one more episode before we're immediately jumping into pre-release for Dustmorn because it's a month away.
Say bye to Nadu. It's happening.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning into our episode, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.